The best writing comes from conflict.
Oh my God, did I just inspire someone to write positive caption on Instagram? Because that would be really sad. To me right now, the idea of positivity and negativity is just polarity.
Then why to fake it also?
I guess it gets you views. I was looking for that, external validation, but I don't think I entirely bought it. I have a lot of faith. That's what our culture for the longest time has been calling it, the Maya Jal and all of that stuff. Everyone's illusion is different. It's always an illusion.
So everything happens for a reason?
No, I feel very cool that I don't have it together. I feel very cool that I've fallen apart so many times. Sometimes talking about your mental health can be very damaging to your mental health. I was so distraught. I couldn't, there was a month of February this year where everything around me was breaking down. I realized that it was in a way not happening to me as much as it was happening for me. If I say that I love you unconditionally and therefore you should love me back unconditionally, that's a fucking condition.
You're overhealing?
You're healing too much, you're feeling too much, now you need to start living. What they don't realize that for me, this is living. I don't expect to see good DMs. I got a DM the other day from someone that said, I've been in love with you for so long that I deserve to talk to you. So I answered with a block.
Hello everyone, welcome to Decoding Quirks. I'm your host Aditi, and in today's episode we have a face that you'll all remember. She has starred as an actor in Nirja, What the Folks, Out of Love, Afwa on Netflix, and as a screenwriter in Do Aur Do Pyar, which was released this year, 2024. That's the introduction for the word. The personal introduction is I have seen her in the healing circle all around Bandra. I was completely drawn by her strong, independent personality. In this episode, we are decoding healing, overhealing, how do we break that ego, and are all emotions good emotions? So welcome, Eisha Chopra.
Hi.
Thank you. Thank you for coming here. Thank you for giving me your time.
Absolutely.
So obviously the world doesn't know, but I met you at a writer's workshop because obviously that's something that you do.
Yes.
And this workshop kind of validated something within me.
Okay.
And I think I maybe mentioned it or maybe I didn't, but I was struggling a little bit with my Instagram game. I think a lot of people, whenever they see my Instagram as a mental health coach, they're just like, you are supposed to be positive. Why are you constantly putting out all these negative posts or these negative scenarios? And then I was like, but people need to know the problem to then figure out what the solution is. And then when I went for your writer's workshop, there's one line that you said that the best writing comes from conflict. I was like, I'm done.
Oh God, I'm so happy that you said that, because when you first brought up positive and negative, and I was like, oh my God, did I just inspire someone to write positive caption on Instagram? Because that would be really sad. So I was just like, oh my, I was very upset that I'm going to have to validate you for that. But I'm so glad that that's not the way this went.
Thank you for being honest.
Yeah, we're not doing the whole toxic positivity thing. So yeah, I'm glad. Yes, the best writing does come from conflict.
So now, can we actually just decode this for the audience out there,
Sure.
that why conflict?
Why does the best writing come from conflict? Because it's too easy otherwise, right? There's if you just think about something that works, right? Think about something that was, and by conflict I don't mean something that went wrong necessarily. It's the contradiction, right? So say that I wake up and it's a beautiful day and the sunlight is getting in there and it's all dappled and wonderful. Have I lost you?
Yeah,
Okay. Yeah.
exactly.
But now what, right? So it doesn't have to necessarily be that, oh, something went wrong, but then there was that doorbell that rang or something like that. No, but there has to be something that's surprising, something that's kind of different, something that discerns this moment from something else. It can be a more beautiful moment. It can be something that contrasts you out of this moment, but something needs to happen.
A shock
Right.
element?
Sorry?
Like a shock element?
I don't think it has to be a shock element. It just needs to be something. So the conflict is coming from the contrast, right? So say that you talk about say being bored, right? You're bored, and it is very boring to be bored. But then that basically makes you want to do something new. That pushes you to try something new. that newness and that sort of sense of invention and discovery came from the boredom. That too is conflict,
That's
right?
interesting.
So I would say the best writing comes from conflict because there's no real reason to read it otherwise, you know. So again, like I said, that the dappled sunlight came in from the window and you woke up and you felt beautiful and all of that. Now what? Right? Now what? So until you don't have an answer to the now what, and it doesn't have to be something bad, it just needs to be something that's conflicting. So that's why metaphors work so well in writing and for life. You notice that when people have had a really sort of one of those sort of life changing moments or like a moral of the story moment, they'll talk about something, they often use a metaphor. Why is that? Why does that work so well? Not just, and when I say writing, by the way, I'm talking about reading and speaking and all forms of communication. They just work better with conflict. It could be something that could be, say, circular, right? So if I start here and I bring it right back, you go watch a comedy show and then they do a callback, right? Is that conflict? Is it circular? What is it exactly? It's coming back. It's basically making the start the end. That too, in a sense, is a conflict, right? Because that's not where you were expecting it to go, to come right back, to the center, to the beginning. That too can be seen as conflict. So I don't see this as something that's necessarily positive, negative. And today, honestly, I really just don't even enjoy the use of those words because they don't mean anything anymore. They, to me right now, the idea of positivity and negativity is just polarity. It's not good and bad.
Tell me
You
more
know,
about that.
I'll tell you more about polarity. Uh, what should I tell you? What's your
Okay,
question?
so why should we be focusing on the positivity and negativity? Should we be
I think
labeling things?
whatever you are focusing on is what is going to expand inside you, right? Like, uh,
But
this
then,
is
does toxic positivity play a role in it?
toxic positivity plays a role, I think, because it's not authentic. There's nothing wrong with positivity. When you add the word toxic in front of it, obviously there's something wrong with it because it's not real, right? So the problem I find with toxic positivity, as I do with sometimes with, say, humorous negativity or something like that, right? Like self-deprecation has become a very, very accepted, sublimated form of making friends, right? So things like that. These things are a problem because they are not your authentic self, and that
Exactly.
positivity is not authentic. You are not necessarily feeling good. You're not necessarily living that best life. You're not necessarily showing up as your honest self. Then why?
Then why
Wha-
to fake it also?
Because I guess it gets you views.
I love that. I
Yeah.
love that it was just direct into the end.
I mean, yeah, why fake it? I mean, I completely agree. Why fake it? Who is faking it? You,
Yeah.
right? You got some views. They're pretty fake too. I mean,
Exactly. And then
so
you're going to keep that facade on, right?
well,
Now it's baggage.
it's that the Gandhian quote, right? That you have to you tell one lie, you're gonna have to tell
Then,
100 to
yeah.
cover it up. The same works for toxic positivity. You pretend to be happy once, you're gonna have to maintain that image, not just to yourself, but to everyone around you. Worse when it's to yourself,
Oh my God,
right?
yeah.
So,
And if you lie to yourself, it's harder to come out of it.
well, yeah, when you lie to yourself, you believe it. So, yeah, I guess.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
When you lie to yourself, you believe it.
Yeah. I mean,
So, you know
yeah.
what? We used to say, fake it till you make it.
Uh-huh.
There used to be that line
Yeah.
where
It's still there.
it's still there. Yeah, yeah. My belief around it is like, faith it till you make it, in a way where believe in like trying to achieve it. So, in a way of manifesting it.
Yeah. What
But
is manifesting according to you? Now, it's such an overused term, actually. I don't have a
exactly.
problem with the term. I have the problem with a bit of the overuse of the term. So I'm going to ask you what that means exactly.
Yeah, I mean, it's even I think I have a problem with it being
Yeah.
overused. But what I feel like what I have done over time is believe in a concept. So if I believe in friendship being a certain way, where I invest in the good times and the bad times, I am thinking that, I'm feeling that, I'm showing that because I believe it. I might not have seen the results of it yet, but I'm approaching it with that belief.
Right.
Maybe I've not seen the byproducts. So that for me is manifesting. So even it comes in different aspects of life. It could be with mental health, it could be with friendship, it could be with romantic relationships. And in some places, I have seen the principles, whichever I've believed in, have worked out. And the ones that haven't, I feel like my journey in that has not yet, like I have not completed that journey, or I have not learned the lessons of that journey.
Sure.
So that's why the manifestation has not yet happened. And I don't feel like I constantly, consciously manifest all the time.
Yeah.
It's a principle, it's like a belief.
Yeah, I think we do manifest all the time, but I have a slightly different understanding of the word today.
Yeah.
I know that the word became very popular with a lot of
Secret,
self-help
yeah.
and The Secret and things like that. And then a lot, it became a very polarizing word itself. Like it can really divide a room, when you use the word manifest. But I kind of see it very simply, right? So people who kind of like to look at these things in a more mundane way, they sort of tend to go towards those words like you believe it and you see it and all of that stuff. That's fine. That's great for a simple brain, right? That I just thought it and I believed it and it showed up. And it does, right? It just doesn't work for a complex brain. I'm not saying stupid and intelligent. I'm saying simple and complex, right? So I think that when you decide on something, right? Like when you have decided to see signs of something, or say that you decide that you want to do something, here is where your concept of faith, I think, becomes really important. You believe it. You really, really believe it is going to happen, or you really, really believe it's not going to happen for you. Your brain is going to take those decisions to make those things happen.
Like the
Right?
bias situation.
Exactly. So you might say like I moved to Bombay to become an actor, but I had very little faith in myself at that time because the world around didn't help me. It didn't help affirm that faith in me. So I was looking for that, external validation, but I don't think I entirely bought it, right? So while I made the big move and I came here, somewhere I was always trying to kind of hide and hold back because somewhere I didn't really believe it. So I made all those big decisions. I got here. I was going for the auditions. I was doing all the work and all of that. But when I say went to a screening or a meeting or something, I would actually try and recede because I felt embarrassed. I was looking at people who were out there and networking and putting themselves in ways that I found kind of distasteful, and I judged that. And then I decided that I am not that person. So in some ways, I started to try and recede. And that was not something, that was a conflict, for example, that did not work because here you are trying to show up, but then while you're showing up, you're also trying to hide. So that manifests
Yeah.
because you hold back, you try to find ways to not make something happen, even though externally you're here.
Yeah.
You're here why? Because you want this to happen. So I think the brain is always taking those decisions, like my mom does something. She told me about this thing, and I think I saw it on that Bollywood Wives show also. At this, one of the ladies said something about I do Fatimas,
I saw
and
Bollywood, but I didn't see this.
yeah, I just got it right
Okay.
because my mom had just told me about this, that if something gets lost, then there's this sort of like old wives kind of like hack where you ask for it, you ask the universe for it, you clap your hands, and then you have to read this Bibi Fatima ki kahani, right?
Oh.
And I think that's what it meant. I think that's what they were talking about. I'm not
Okay.
sure.
Yeah.
But the whole idea is that you do that and then you find the thing, right? Now, something very interesting happened. I lost a ring.
Okay.
And
Recently.
and I'm back home. And I'm
Back
very
home in
convinced,
Delhi.
back home in Delhi, and I'm very convinced that this ring is in my mother's safe. And I'm like, it has to be with you because I have very few places in my house in Bombay, it's very small, where it could be. And she's like, I don't think it's here. And, this ring has gone back and forth between us a few times. Oh, it's this one. Yeah. It's gone back and forth between us a few times. So just on a lark, right, we decided to do this thing, right?
So you're just trying it out.
Just trying it out. Like, why not? We were just sort of messing around and we looked in the safe and it's not there. So we're like, it didn't work. But the next day, my cook back home here in Bombay tells me that she has found it.
Shut up.
Yeah. Now, how? Now, I also obviously put my jewelry inside a safe at home and all of that. But there is a sort of like an altar, a chest of drawers I have out in the living room. With the monsoon, those drawers had sort of expanded and the wood had become, very plump and they weren't opening properly. So in my absence, I'd asked her to call a carpenter to file the drawers so that they can, move easily. She found the ring in those drawers. Now, when I asked her to do this was post our clapping and just sort of like putting it out there or whatever. And
You found
there was no reason for that ring to have been there, honestly. It's just that my safe had stopped working, so I had put it away over there and I obviously forgot. And it never occurred to me to look over there because I just wouldn't have put jewelry over there.
You usually don't keep it there.
Exactly. It's in the living room. It's kind of out. It's just that the safe wasn't working, so I must have put it away. I don't even remember. But now I wonder that was there something in my brain that obviously stored that information and now decided to search for that information. So asked Deepa to go and file those drawers. Now it's not happening very directly. It's happening extremely indirectly. But
Subconsciously?
there's so much of our brain that we don't use, right? So somewhere me telling her that, hey, listen, get these drawers please fixed in my absence because I just wanted it done. And she didn't have much work to do since I wasn't there. And it happened. So now just what are the odds, right? Now, I don't think this is magic. I think this is some kind of
But I don't think
neuroscience.
Yeah,
you know,
but that I think
or maybe they're all the same, right? I mean, is there really anything as magic?
Yeah.
It's usually, well, I remember the first time I heard that magic was just, sleight of hand.
Yeah.
But we see it as that, right? So when you put that emotional component of things and that fantastical component, it's magic. It's just that it happened really fast.
Yeah.
So
I don't believe that. I don't think I believe that manifestation is magic in any way. I actually do believe very similarly. Like if I want something, that I want to be sitting on a podcast today in Bombay, podcasting with Eisha Chopra.
Well, yeah, you made that happen.
I made that
You took
happen.
all the relevant steps in order to make that happen, right?
Yes.
And
But
you met me at the writing workshop and you asked me,
Yeah.
and I showed up.
Yeah.
Right? And if I had not shown up, you wouldn't be sitting here and say, oh shit, I did not manifest Eisha Chopra sitting on my podcast. You'd move on.
Yeah, and
know?
but it'll happen later if it has to happen.
Yeah, but it's just that when it happens is when we sort of really kind of take note of these things.
Yeah.
But I think what we need to take note of the fact is that we are making it happen. We are taking those choices to make those things happen. That is manifestation for the complex brain. Is to just recognize that,
The steps.
yes, you do have to kind of put an intent out there, but the brain does so much back work for you. It's like there's something happening behind the scenes, and it's behind the scenes for us as well.
Yes.
But we are taking those decisions to make those things happen.
100%.
Again, the simple brain says, I want to make this happen. I made it happen. The complex brain really wants to understand. What did I do? What exactly happened? We
How
like
do
to
I
analyze
replicate
that.
this formula again? How do I tell everyone about it?
Yeah. So, I'm very left brain as an individual. I'm extremely left brain, but I'm very right hearted. So I do believe in that magic. I do actually really resonate with the idea of faith. I have a lot of faith. If the world was divided into skeptics and believers, I have no doubt of where I will be, where I know I have always been, and where I will remain.
Yeah.
Right? But I like thinking. It's fun.
It is fun.
And I like to question those beliefs. I like to challenge it. I could talk to you about reincarnation and past life regression, which is a highly abstract concept. It will never have proof. We will never have proof.
We will not.
Right?
Or actually, I actually saw something. Maybe you can watch it after this podcast. I don't know why I'm plugging this podcast, but Desi Crimes. There is this podcast called Desi Crimes, Aryan Mishra and Ashwarya.
Well, sure. I mean, I haven't seen this one, but what I'm going to say is that I've heard a lot of reincarnation and past life theory kind of stories. I buy into it. I completely buy into it. But all I'm saying is that we'll never be able to prove it. Just because someone did not know a story, you'll never have proof that they were not there or they did not know or something like that.
Yeah, but just watch this one episode
I'll
of
watch
T2
it.
Singh. There is
T2 Singh.
T2 Singh. It's a cute name. Full proof. Full on proof. Like BBC has come and documented it for years. But crazy.
I've done past life regression and I've seen
same.
things. I saw visions that of a time in history that I was not very familiar with.
Yeah.
And then when I went back and kind of Googled it, it looked like what I saw. So I don't know what to say about it because somewhere you've seen every image, right?
Did you get scared when you saw anything?
Did I get scared when I Googled it?
No, when you saw it while you were in the hypnosis stage.
In the hypnosis, no. I remember the first time that I entered the hypnosis, I was really freaked out.
Yeah.
Because as I had entered this, the hypnotized state, I saw someone that I recognized, and that was kind of scary because at first, you might just be seeing scenes, but I saw a person, and that was a person that was a relationship that I really needed to resolve and move on from. So when I saw a face and I recognized the person, and how do you recognize it? Looks like a different person, but it it became very clear to me that this was going to be something that plays out. So that was, I'm not going to say scary because, I knew I was safe. I trusted my therapist, but I knew that something was about to happen here that was going to potentially change the course of my life or this dynamic or this relationship. And it did. And
Wow.
it did, yeah. So,
That's beautiful.
yeah.
When I did it,
Yeah, it was beautiful because I cut the person out. But that's what
So
was.
you got clarity.
Well, I think that it was almost one of those things. It's not like there was something that happened and I don't believe that karma is like that. I don't believe karma is vindictive and vengeful. That, it's like, I did something bad to you in my last life, so now you get to do something bad to me. No, I don't think. I think maybe souls are tied together and there
Yeah.
are some kind of contracts that happen over there.
Yeah.
But I think that our souls are on their own journeys and we need to resolve our own wounds. And some people are tied to those wounds. And sometimes, I think lovers especially just come back to say goodbye sometimes, They don't always come back to stay together forever.
That's so true.
I think they just need to sometimes just say farewell.
Yeah.
So,
And does the wound heal then?
yeah, I think the wounds that I had around that did heal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I also recently thought about this, that why do two people who are so opposite find each other, or get attracted to each other or live with each other? And when I'm saying opposite, I'm not saying like a vegan eater and a
I
meat
mean, I was
eater.
going to ask you also what is opposite, right? There's
No,
so
we
many
can.
layers to us
Yeah.
that, there's so many layers
I'm
to
not
us.
talking
At
about the
what
obvious.
point are we going to say that you're opposite
Yeah.
I think that, I mean, to me, honestly, like just a shared value system is a good enough reason for two people to come together.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
So,
then after that, the
yeah.
rest of it, you kind of work. You
So-
definitely need compatibility. To me, compatibility is a very superficial need. It's a very outer need, I feel. But I think that at a deeper level, yeah, I think a shared value system is what we
Yes.
kind of.
So when two people are like opposite, it's not like poles opposite. It's more like modality opposites. Like our goals are the same, but you could be in a car, I could be in a bike. We're going towards the same route. We might take a few detours here and there, but we're probably going towards the same area. So for me, that is like opposite. And even in
So
that,
you're going to the same area as the opposite?
no,
Like
no, we're going to the same area, but we're in different modalities. One is in a car, one is in a bike.
Okay.
So
That
for
to me wouldn't feel like opposite. That to me is quite
yeah,
similar,
so
just maybe different speeds.
So for me, that is
something.
like opposite. Like that's the scenario in my head opposite. That's the opposite that makes sense, right? Because we're not the same. We're not on the exact same speed, rate, everything.
I
Maybe
don't know.
different
Yeah,
routes.
that would be good enough for me, actually.
Yeah?
Yeah, I think so.
So I feel
I
like
think if we were going to different places and different zip codes, like that to me is a problem. But
no, exactly. So that's the thing. We're going. So that's the thing. So this opposite is what makes sense.
yeah,
Being in the car, being in the bike, going into
Huh.
the same direction. That's what makes sense.
yes.
But what I was thinking is that how come that this happens? I also feel like an emotional person with a technical person, opposite, but somewhat the same value system, somewhat the same
Can
goals,
be, yeah.
right? And I feel like it's because they have to balance each other and heal each other, and somewhere like that deep connection, the emotional wounds, either you're healing that or you're teaching them something and saying goodbye and
Yeah.
moving. So you cross paths with people who kind of are opposite, but again, same value system.
Yeah.
So,
I
and I
do
think-
I do believe that everybody who comes into your life, and of course this is a very sort of larger oversoul kind of concept, but I do believe that people really do come into your life to mirror you and show you where you're at.
Yeah.
Right. And we choose the partners because that mirroring is something that creates some kind of growth. and some kind of expansion.
Yeah.
But there are people who just sort of come in and they just, they just show you where you're at, right?
Yeah.
I recently ran into someone that I realized that I had a lot of anger towards. That was surprising for me because it had been a while. And when I saw this, I was disappointed in myself that I still felt this anger. And the kind of healing path that I am on right now, I've kind of come to realize that the anger was already there before they showed up in my life. Forget in my day or in my week. The anger was there before they showed up in my life. And that's why we use those terms, pushing buttons. They just push the button. And I think it's really important now to understand that, we keep making it about other people, that they are like this. And, like we cancel people so fast, right? That, this person did this and that doesn't align with me. And so now they're out. And, now this person did this and now they are out. And this, we have.
Cancel culture is too much.
Yeah, but, cancel culture for celebrities, okay. There's a different debate. When you cancel people in your life,
Yeah.
for just being human, that's a little bit problematic, because I really feel like they have come into your life to show you where you are at and what inside you need to heal and then hopefully cancel, right?
Yeah.
So today, the way I am working on these things, that, okay, somebody showed up, I look at that person, okay, I am angry with this person for, could be abandoning this relationship or rejecting this connection or whatever it might be. Now you change those pronouns. I am angry with myself for abandoning myself. I am angry with myself for rejecting myself.
Yeah.
Now look into yourself. Where is that true? Where in your consciousness does that feel right?
Yeah.
A voice will start to speak.
100%.
And it is usually some kind of inner child. And it'll tell you what you're angry at, who you're angry with, and who's this guy?
Yeah.
I mean, nobody.
No, yeah.
Nobody.
No
just the
one.
messenger. Don't shoot the messenger.
Shit.
You
That's
know?
so true. Did you
Yeah.
learn this in therapy or in any healing journey?
I did, yes. I did learn this with a coach, actually.
That's
I did. It wasn't exactly this exact same process, but this is what it might look different for somebody else, but this is what I sort of realized it was doing for me, is that whenever I did this, and there's a lot of inner work I've been doing for the last decade and a half that has taught me to trust my intuition when it comes to things like this. So for this process of healing, my intuition has really been the guiding light over here, because it takes a lot of courage to have faith in your intuition. It takes a lot of courage because we are plagued with self-doubt, especially when it comes to things like this, which are intangible. And, we've accepted psychology today as like a pseudoscience, but we still call it a pseudoscience.
Yes.
So spirituality is a very long way off.
Yeah.
And I don't think we have all the right ambassadors for it. There are great spiritual masters, but people are taking their teachings and repackaging them into something very simple.
To be cool?
I don't know.
Accepted.
I
Cool.
mean, I wouldn't say it's to be cool. It's okay. It's just that I think that there's more to it than that, It becomes that sort of Instagram spirituality. And I'm not saying spirituality is actually very simple. That is the goal. It's just that simplicity is very hard achieved.
Yeah.
It's so simple.
It is.
You have a problem, you're angry with someone, you're pissed at someone rejected you, they abandoned you. The soul doesn't care.
Yeah.
The heart is in pain. The mind is in overdrive. The soul's fine. It's chilling. It's only in love.
Wow.
And I don't think it has another way of being or it has another way of operating. It's us who are not connected to that sense of
Higher.
our own spirit and our higher selves, because we don't sit down and take that time to connect with that side of ourselves. If we did, we would be a lot less interested in the way other people are treating us and a lot more interested in the way we are treating ourselves.
Yeah. If you look inwards versus it's harder to look inwards.
Yes.
It's easier to look outwards.
But use the outwards, right? Like we can use the external world
As a compass,
to
because
inform us.
Yeah. It's
Like,
coming there for a reason.
Yeah, you pissed me off. Okay, where am I pissed at myself? And you know what? So far, I have never found this to fail.
Is that your secret mantra? Or have we found your secret mantra?
Yeah. I mean, in your words, I'm not here to gatekeep that. It's not my invention.
Yeah.
It's just something I discovered that, guess what?
It's within you.
Yeah, the outside is literally, that's what, that's what like our culture for the longest time has been calling it, the Maya Jal and all of that stuff. Everyone's illusion is different. It's always an illusion. It's just showing up. Your grid is just showing up based on what you're feeling, what you're thinking. You are manifesting. You did manifest that person to come here to piss you off so that you could look inside yourself and fix it. Who cares? They're going to go.
Yeah. So
Everybody
everything
goes.
happens for a reason?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Okay. You said something about
But those reasons don't always have to be like
Decoding.
fantastic reasons. They can be like stupid, annoying, silly fucking reasons.
Love it.
Like the word reason does not have to be reasonable. It's it's a reason. It's just that like maybe like the reason is that you're an annoying bitch. You know?
And that's the reason.
And that's what you had to
That's
see.
reason enough.
Yeah, that's what you had to see.
Yeah.
Hi.
Okay, you said something about intuition that
Sure.
got me really interested. How do you describe intuition?
Um,
I'm only asking this because there are still a big chunk of people out there that do not resonate to this term, intuition. So, what is intuition? Let's start with that.
I think, well, if I had to make it very simple, and I'm really not the expert, but I would say that intuition is your knowing. It is your knowing. But what comes in there is your self-doubt.
Yeah.
Is there anything that you don't know?
Yeah.
Is there anything? And it's just that we wait for life to confirm it to us.
Evidence.
We wait for evidence to confirm things to us. But I think that this intuition is just your knowing, and it can be very uncomfortable sometimes. It can be deeply uncomfortable. But why? Because we're tuned into this reality. We're taught to believe this reality. We're always taught to believe what we can see, hear, taste, touch. We think of time as something that is either right now, back then, about to happen. So our entire sense of reality is so bound by taste, smell, sight, touch. Our entire concept of reality is sensual by nature. It's very material.
Yeah.
We turn time into something material.
Yeah.
Right? Was it supposed to be? I don't know.
Yeah.
So,
Wow.
like the time, this just the crazy concept that just sort of exists, Here we have gone and given it numbers and dates, and it's actually
Seconds
it's just the Earth spinning around the sun.
That's
you
true.
know.
But is it?
I need an answer in 3 days. This year has been so terrible.
Yeah.
It has actually.
It has. For me, this year has been foundation. I'm waiting for the results next year.
Oh my gosh. No, you know what?
I'll never. Yeah, this is a sentence that everyone is
Guess what?
saying it.
December 31st is no different to Jan 1st.
Exactly.
Except that
Exactly.
you stayed up a little late.
Actually, very late. Like 1:30 is too late for me now.
Yeah, 1:30 is way too late.
Way too late. Okay, but is
Not
intuition connected to your gut?
I've heard so.
Yeah. Do you
I mean, I've
feel
heard
it?
that.
I think I've always said gut intuition, gut instincts because I heard it.
Yeah.
And I feel like, yeah, it resonates.
Well, there's neuroscience behind that the gut was the original brain. And the theory that I have heard that I like the most was that when we were on all fours, the gut was the center of gravity. And the definition of brain is just neurons firing. And then when we kind of stood up, this no longer was the center of gravity. It didn't work as a center of gravity. So it's just sort of like the brain moved up over here and became a more evolved kind of center. It's sort of like getting a new CEO or something.
Hierarchy.
However, this is the original brain. So we feel it here, is what I've heard. And I tend to kind of like
Resonate
that
with it.
explanation.
Is it because of the conflict?
No, it makes sense to
Makes
me.
sense.
You know, it's even the word like resonance. I mean, what resonance? Yeah, we were on all fours. That makes sense. Center of gravity, sure. It makes sense. Who am I to question it?
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that different feelings I'm no stranger to the fact that the body keeps score.
Yes.
Different feelings do show up in different parts of the body. There's a lot of research. Louise Hay has done a lot of research on that. I have healed parts of my body that has been purely using mind, emotion, spirit, all of those things, where medical science absolutely failed. So I'm not, I think I realized this about maybe 15 years ago, and people thought I was really, really nuts. But today, there's so much research on this. And there was research even back then. It's just that um, I, I came into contact with this before I had read the research, and I began to feel that. Now I don't really fall sick much. If I have fallen sick, I know that I'm in a state of extreme stress
Yeah.
because my body developed that intelligence to understand that sickness is coming from a sickness in the mind most of the time,
Emotions.
mental, you
Yeah.
know. So I think that, yeah, it's like if you relax into a yoga pose, for a long time and you just relax into it, don't push yourself in it, don't stretch in it, don't make any effort, and you just allow the body to rest. And by rest, I'm not talking about like faffing rest, just allow that expansion to happen in the body. And if you tune in, you will find that certain resistances come up. And those are those emotions that are trying to find their way out. And the more you relax into it, the more you lean into that feminine side of yourself,
Yeah.
which is to just wait and to rest. It's just amazing the kinds of things that
Come
kind
out
of
of it.
reveal themselves to you.
I've actually had this conversation with a friend recently, and they were talking about how scary it is to relax because of all the thoughts that come out right after that.
Yeah.
There are so many emotions that come out, and we are like master numbers at this point with everything that we have around us.
I don't numb myself.
Yeah.
I'm so proud of myself, and I give myself so much credit for the fact that I no longer numb myself. Of course, I go into fight flight, when I get scared or when I feel unsafe.
That's normal, right?
Yeah, I mean, that happens. I'm not above that,
Yeah.
but I don't numb myself. I'm really happy to feel those emotions because that's why they're there.
Yeah.
Like that's all they want. That's literally all they want.
The
is to
only
be-
job is to be felt.
the only ask of you is to feel them.
Yeah.
But I guess we feel like we have to be high functioning and we have to move on, and often we do.
Yeah.
You know,
It has
But-
to look cool and it has to feel like you have it all together.
Yeah.
And people put that behind, and then when they actually rest, it comes back on
Yeah, I don't
top.
know. I feel very cool that I don't have it together. I feel very cool that I've fallen apart so many times. It's fine. I'm absolutely okay with it.
Yeah, of
Yeah.
course. Like you don't. Okay, let's ask this question. Because you're a celebrity, because you are a known face, is it difficult to stay together, to keep it together, or is it like easier to fall apart? Like,
I think
does that play a role?
You're attributing a lot more celebrity to my life than actually exists.
I mean,
So I don't feel like it's a fair question in that sense. But let me reframe that as someone who exists in a somewhat public sphere. No, I don't think it has ever affected. I don't think fame or public figureness has ever come in my way of doing anything. If anything, I think it was, in my case at least, something that uh, helped me have the confidence to talk about certain things. Just because people listened. People are listening. If you want to talk, you can talk, right? But people give you a certain authority sometimes, but that doesn't really mean anything to me, honestly. Like, if I see a lot of times, like, I'll see a lot of sort of actors and, comedians seem to spend a lot of time on podcasts as guests. I don't know what made a comedian the gold standard of podcast guest for mental
I'll
health,
tell you
especially.
once the camera stop rolling.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, well, I'm not sure what they're experts at other than the comedy. I mean, there's someone might be. I'm not saying they're not, but I guess there's time to kind of come here and roll out the punches. Um, But other than that, they're just people. A lot of times, like people who are performers are people who put themselves in very unsafe situations.
Yeah.
And I think maybe that's a better way to frame the question, is that it's not about how other people are viewing you. It's just that you, for some reason, had the courage or the stupidity to put yourself in an extremely unsafe situation and you survived it,
Yeah.
you know? So I think that because you're someone who has put yourself in an unusual situation and you've therefore gone through unusual feelings and emotions, that qualifies you to talk about certain things. So I would say that that's a journey just as any other, right? To me, someone who, say, moved from a really small town, came from, had to maybe fight for their education and had to fight for their place in life, and then made things happen for them, and nobody knows who they are, but they are living their life and they are thriving. That to me is a greater journey than mine,
Yeah.
where I was born into privilege and education, and I had to kind of fight a social norm of what was expected of me. I had to unlearn certain things that were expected of me as a woman. But really, like, I mean, I've had it easy, so,
Thank you for saying
yeah.
that. It not everybody can say it, so thank you for saying that.
Well, sure. I mean, really, I've had a roof on my head my entire life.
Safety.
So, what the fuck am I talking about, right?
But you know what I did see through, I mean, your digital space that you created for yourself, as a viewer, what I did see was that you spoke so much about being real. Like your recent reel of anniversaries is the most real and relatable one.
Yeah, I woke up to a family WhatsApp group pinging away about an anniversary, and I was just like, oh
Oh
God, like,
God, yeah.
I
I
mean,
mean, we've all
like,
felt it.
yeah.
So
Yeah, and
one,
it's like no one remembered this anniversary, but now that like one person like had the gumption to like go wish someone, or everyone's like wishing this beautiful and prosperous life together.
which which is like a standard text.
I mean, like, yeah. I mean, I'm just like, what? Yeah, congrats. You made it this far. Like, what else do you want?
Okay, so what I saw was the relatability
Uh-huh.
and the fact that you were very open and honest about healing and the importance of healing. Everything from what we spoke about, like the intuition, going deep into it. So when I see it, and when I don't know you and I see it, I'm just like, okay, maybe she's gone through it. One, she has the guts to go through it, or something really tragic has happened to her and she's gone through it and she's come out on the other side. So when we have other celebrities like Deepika Padukone, Alia Bhatt talking about it, it goes both ways. Like, hey, they have the guts to talk about it, so now we feel relatable, we'll talk about it, or like, are they crazy, right? So yeah, it goes both ways. And for me, I've always looked at it as you said, people are listening. If
Yeah.
I talk about it now, I know that people are listening. There
Yeah.
are people there to like learn from it and
Yeah.
listen. So for
You can have a hero wherever you want, Honestly, I've never looked to celebrities to be inspired. For me, the person who is an expert in that field is the person that I will look to. So if I want to watch or learn something about mental health, I'm going to go to a mental health expert. I'm not going to go to a celebrity. If I want to necessarily just learn how to be an actor or handle fame, yeah, I'll go to a celebrity. But I don't consider a celebrity qualified to talk about anything else. If I want to learn about motherhood, I think anyone who's a mother is qualified to talk about that. But I would always go to the source, not the celebrity, to get the information that I want. I think that it's great when a celebrity talks about certain things that are not talked about. It definitely took a lot of guts, and then they make that, sort of cool and acceptable to talk about. But people were talking way before a
yeah,
celebrity
yeah,
spoke
yeah,
up. So
100%.
I mean, I'm going to give the celebrity chops for the fact that they were vulnerable, but they don't get like OG chops. No.
No, no, no.
You know?
No, no, no.
Yeah.
100% no. I feel like, yes, if you have a platform, for me, I'm
Yeah.
like, you have a platform. This is something you're going through. You know it can help someone. Let's
Yeah,
talk
but I don't
about
I
it.
don't think
It's
it's
not a
like their
have to. No, no,
responsibility. I
it's
don't think
not.
it's any celebrity's responsibility to show up there to talk about mental health, because sometimes talking about your mental health can be very damaging to your mental health also. So true responsibility comes to you. If you feel like it helps you, If you feel like, now you are in a space where, see, I don't think we're not going to be completely healed, not in this lifetime ever. Okay.
No way.
But so when you say that, you saw me and you're like, oh, she's come to the other side of it.
Yeah.
What is the other side? I don't know. Am I done? Am I done healing? Is it over? Obviously not. So
yeah.
I mean, if I'm done healing like yesterday, I would be very happy. Then we're going to talk about like your childhood. Before that is your past life, your intergenerational trauma, where your soul has been in like intergalactic dimensions. It's not stopping.
What a crazy movie that would be.
Yeah, it's probably made.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it has.
It's a movie I think is worth a watch. Is a YouTube film actually called Samadhi, which is really interesting. It's all about the egoic mind and reality and all of those things.
Do you want to talk about ego?
Sure.
So when I speak about ego, especially with my clients, the basics to explain to them is like it feels like a protector. It's like a bodyguard that's protecting you in this moment, protecting you from whatever beliefs you've been raised with whatever conditions that you've been raised with. So it's like a protector, but it feels like AI. It's like a robot, right? It's like you've entered a code and it'll only do that. It'll not move little bit here and there.
Yeah.
So it's like somebody cannot abuse you, then no, somebody cannot abuse you. Like idhar udhar it'll not go. So for me it feels like as if it's like an AI code, or it's like it's robotic at a certain point.
That's a really great way of actually looking at ego, that it's an AI, because it is pretty formulaic, right? It is pretty much a rule book. It's a very, very difficult beast to tame.
Yeah.
Right.
And we have to constantly then keep changing the code as you go forward, that okay, no one can abuse you, but maybe your mom can. No one can abuse you, but maybe, it's like you have to keep adding the code.
This year actually for me has been a lot about, I'm not going to use the word ego death because I don't think any human can go through ego death, but you can definitely go through ego degradation. And of course, I'm going to assume and not underestimate the audience intelligence by saying that ego is your sense of superiority. No, ego is your sense of self, which includes your superiority, your inferiority, and any self-image that you have. So I had that very, very massively challenged this year. And I realized that I have very severe good person ego, right? And that has been my greatest undoing. Is all the things that I did because I believed I was a good person. And all the ways that I showed up, not as my true authentic self, because I believed that a good person shows up this way. This is what a good friend does. This is what a good partner does. This is what a good lover does. This is what a good, anything.
Is it like the good girl syndrome?
It's, see, what is the good girl? I mean, I wouldn't say the good girl as much as I would say the good person, right?
Okay.
So a good person is always there, is always giving, is always there to show up for you. I had to really kind of break that down. I had to break down because I think that was, this year has maybe just sort of been that time for me to kind of break down and rebuild, because everything around me that was happening was just, it felt like it was happening to make me question this belief system. And I was so distraught. I couldn't, like, there was a month of February this year where everything around me was breaking down and I couldn't understand it. And I realized that it was in a way not happening to me as much as it was happening for me. Right?
Okay.
Where certain friendships, certain relationships, all of these things were just going against the grain of what I believed they should be. And my entire sense of what should happen came from me in the center of the situation. Well, I'm this sort of friend. Well, I showed up from you this way. I've done this. So this should not be happening to me.
That was the ego?
Yeah. And I realized this, that, when we talk about unconditional love, right? If I say that I love you unconditionally and therefore you should love me back unconditionally, that's a fucking condition.
That's the expectation.
Condition. If I'm loving you unconditionally and expecting you to love me back unconditionally, I have just put a condition out there. There is no such thing.
Oh my God.
That doesn't work. Right? So you can't tout this flag of unconditional love and then cry that you didn't get it back.
Yeah, that's insane. and said so simply and so beautifully. Please listen to that. Oh my God, I love it. Okay, so yes, and in what place did that ego break or rebuild in a way?
Well, I suppose so. I have a few friends
Hmm.
who are a bit younger than me,
Okay.
and they were sort of a couple of them like new in the city, kind of, and I know what it's like to be very young and very new in Bombay, and I know that you need to feel protected.
Yeah.
So I went out of my way, especially like, the ones who were girls. I went out of my way. I felt very protective. So I went out of my way to do that, in kind of like trying to, not to play like some kind of big sister, but just to make sure that in a world where you feel consistently unsafe in this industry, in this city, that there could be a space that they felt safe, which doesn't mean that I'm like, here, come to me all the time. It's just that when you're with me, you should feel that somebody's
Safe.
looking out for you. So when that got sort of, I would say, not that particular identity got abused or threatened, when those people say maybe did things that hurt me, I felt extremely triggered because it became, well, I've done so much for you. How could you do this to me? Whereas the person is just doing what they do and they're not out to hurt you. You were just out to overprotect them,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
And in that equation, it didn't make sense.
So how do you pull yourself out of that equation, or what do you
I
change
broke
in?
down completely,
Okay.
right? Because again, it wasn't
It's
about
not
that one
easy.
person or
Yeah.
that person. It wasn't about that one individual or this one particular identity. Again, it was happening to me. So I completely broke down. It was really tough. And this is just one example. There were many things like that in different kind of spheres of
Yeah.
life
Yeah.
that happened. And I went through a complete like dark night of the soul where I had to there were days that I woke up and I was really, really questioning, like, am I going through a clinical depression? Because I don't know what's happening. I don't know what I'm feeling. But every single day of those 4 months, there was always one message that came either in the form of a person or in the form of a sign or in the form of an omen or in the form of a text message that always told me that it's fine. You just have to go through this. And I did. And I leaned into it. I leaned into that discomfort. I leaned into like all that awfulness. It was a dark, dark vortex. You know, that's what ego death slash degradation actually is. You have to cross that barrier. And I don't think that, I think that the light on the other side of the tunnel is not there right away.
Yeah.
You still have to walk the length of the tunnel. It takes a long time, and
100%.
you'll go through it and you'll reach a place where you're like, hey, this is working, and a new ego will be formed, and you will subscribe to that ego for a while. And if you are the kind of person who likes to grow and expand and is curious, you will go through this again.
Yes, because you're
Yeah.
never completely healed.
Because you're never completely healed, and it's up to you the amount of gumption you have in this lifetime to heal. How much do you want to heal? Some people don't want to.
Some people really don't want
And that's
to.
fine.
Yeah.
That is fine. Like, I get this criticism from my friends all the
You're
time.
overhealing?
You're healing too much, you're feeling too much, now you need to start living. What they don't realize that for me, this is living. This is living.
I get you.
I'm not excited with the idea of numbing myself out. I'm just not. And I'm not saying that a person who is out and socializing and partying, I'm not talking about those typical examples. I'm talking about people who are not looking into those feelings. It's really boring for me. It's very boring for me to talk to that person, to hang out with that person. It's boring for them to hang out with me.
I spoke about this
You know,
yesterday that I don't have time to be superficial and surface level for anyone. If I am giving you my time, you either let's talk deep. Don't lie to me.
yeah.
I don't have time for lying.
Yeah, I think that I resonate with the
Like,
idea of a
just,
lie. Like, I'm
yeah.
okay with being light and I'm okay with not going so deep,
Yeah.
but I'm not okay with not being true.
Yeah, just don't lie.
you know?
That's it. If,
Yeah.
if you're telling me how you're feeling, then tell me how you're feeling.
Yeah.
Don't put this pretense, because now we can all see. We've all like evolved and healed to a
I
certain
know,
level.
but yeah, I think you can just sort of feel it,
You
right?
can
Like your
feel
your
it.
feelers go up. they
And
do
it's
go
like,
up.
and then I feel like I'm wasting my time in this entire. You are wasting your time. I'm wasting my time. Let's just pack up and leave. Like, just stop it.
yeah, there's great shows on TV to watch these days. Let's do that
Exactly.
instead.
Exactly. For me, healing is that I actually get to feel my feelings, and there is a beauty within it. I know it's been
How
overused again.
crazy is it that we have to now feel our feelings? I mean,
Exactly.
it's in the
Exactly.
goddamn word.
Exactly.
Okay, and now we have to go and take out time to do this thing.
Yeah.
This thing feeling, which is like a noun and a verb and an adverb and possibly an adjective. Now we have to take out time to do it.
Yeah.
Well, that was the plan.
That was the whole
It
point
it
of
didn't.
it all along.
Yeah, they didn't show up so that you could have to then shut them down and then like take a time out to go feel them or wait for Sunday. They're
Just
there.
schedule it. I'm gonna schedule this timetable to feel it.
Yeah, it's like you're not a married couple having sex, man. It's just feelings. You don't need to schedule this shit. you know.
I love it. I love it. So, what was I saying? Yeah. What I was saying is that there are people who numb and there are people who feel. And I feel so grateful to be on the other side that can feel, because I feel there's such a beauty within feeling that pain, feeling that joy, feeling that happiness.
Yeah.
For me, that's life. You
I
know?
liked how your voice dropped in that moment.
Sorry, it just happened.
Did you feel your feelings right there and then?
It's actually like that is life. I do not understand life other than that, because
Sure, yeah.
everything else, as I said, feels very fake.
I think everything else is the passage of time.
Mm. Yeah.
I think everything else is just the passage of time and how you want to spend it.
Yeah, dude. I really feel like when somebody doesn't have the capacity to feel, okay, maybe it's controversial, but you're losing out. You're losing out on that, on what life is. You're losing out on that joy, and you can't just be working all the time. Like we have people who we spoke about numbing. Numbing doesn't only mean like alcohol, parties, or whatever. It's even like basic stuff.
I mean, I know people who numb through exercise.
Oh,
And exercise is a good thing.
yeah, exactly. I was going to say working.
Yeah.
Like
people numb through
workaholics.
food. People numb through
Yeah,
friends.
food is, I've heard.
Yeah, I mean, people also numb through healing, sometimes, where it's like they go so deep into the catharsis and the revelations that come with healing, and that feel so good that it's almost like getting a drug kick, right? And then you're high on that, right? It may not be substance induced, but you're high on that, and it just feels so good that you kind of never neutralize.
Yeah.
And I think there is joy in also just the patience of ordinary things,
Oh, absolutely.
then that's also something,
Yeah, I actually what you said just now resonated a feeling within a thought, is that I wasn't into, like, I didn't choose this as a career. Like, I got into mental health over time. Like, I was someone who went into therapy since I was 21, and then I got curious, I started studying, and then my pro bono, whatever. So that was my journey. So for my friends, I'm still like Aditi. They don't look at me as like a mental health coach, and that's what I really love, because that's the ordinary life. It's not constantly healing.
Yeah.
And I love that. I love, like, the moment I shut my laptop, that I'm not constantly doing it. Like, I'm fucking up as well. I'm making mistakes as well.
Sure.
And I love it. I love, like, someone correcting me and, talking to me about it. It's great. So, no.
Not in the moment always, but
Yeah, I
eventually.
mean, yeah.
It kind of sucks in the moment, actually.
And then, like, so for me, what I feel really happy about is that my friends really look at me as the ordinary self, and I don't want to be put on that pedestal because it has too much responsibility. Like, I was like, can I just decode this later?
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to do it right now.
Yeah.
Don't give me that much power.
Yeah.
I want to do
And
it
also,
some
like,
other time.
sometimes it's just a personality type, isn't it? Like, sometimes it's as simple as, like, hey, you want to talk about sports, or you want to talk about stocks, or you want to talk about whatever, and that's all valid.
Yeah, and
I
or
like
like
to talk about this shit.
or like how do we make more money in life?
Important. Important. I wish someone would, give me that class.
Yeah, I don't want to be constantly be talking about healing. Let's talk about the Nvidia stocks.
I just want someone to just manage my money. I'm fine. Actually, I find I have tried taking classes on finance and
Really?
money, and I just like I glaze. I just find it very boring. I've realized that money for me is a means to an end. I like to make it so I can spend it to have a life that I like to live. It has no meaning for me other than that.
I look at it as a flow.
Hmm.
Like it has to go out for
Hmm.
it to come back in.
Hmm.
And if it's not flowing, then it's stuck. And if
Sure.
it's stuck, then
Something inside you is stuck.
yeah, that's how
Yeah.
I look at it. Like the
But I'm talking about like just the science of
yeah,
money
yeah,
and
yeah.
numbers.
Yeah, yeah.
Like,
No, I
yeah.
get that. And some of that I outsource to like family members and
Oh yeah.
boyfriends and the typical. But the relationship is very like
Yeah,
it's a
boyfriends who
flow.
are good at finance are great.
I mean, that's the criteria now.
Yeah.
Just kidding. Just
I
kidding.
I had a really nerdy boyfriend who was really into gadgets, and I
Ah.
found that to be extremely efficient. Because my life was just sorted. Like my iCal was sorted. I mean, who put things on iCal? But it was.
I love it.
My wires were always like really neatly tied up, and it was great. It was just great. It was just always done.
I love how
Yeah.
that is.
I think that's one of my greens. It's one of my green flags.
What are your
Yeah,
okay?
if you're a techie, like no, I've really begun to understand the value of that techie thing in a
So
partner. It's really
can we
important.
put this out? That
Sure.
any techie out there, we clearly know that this is a green flag. So please slide into her DMs. Also, you don't look at your DMs.
Sometimes I do.
I had first DM'd you, and then I had to like.
No, I mean, so sometimes I do though, but I mean,
It's a
like
vibe.
I don't get great DMs.
Oh God, I know that.
So
I know that.
yeah, I don't expect to see good DMs. I got a DM the other day from someone that said, I've been in love with you for so long that I deserve to talk to you. So I answered with a block.
You know that the DMs I get
Yeah.
is like, and because obviously, like with mental health, you're putting out analogies and talking about actual situations. When you're talking about actual situations, it doesn't mean that that situation's happening to everyone. So just chill out if it's not happening to you. Just relax. Be happy being happy. But they are just like, no, you are wrong. And for me, it's like, sorry. So sorry.
Yeah,
I have made a huge mistake in this life by putting out this content and I have
no, but
offended
like,
you.
mental health is not empirical
It's
evidence.
like, dude, come
It's
on.
just
Move
something that
on.
happened to somebody and they dealt with it this way. And yes, of course, there are generalities. Of course, there are personality types.
Like, how dumb can you be
You
to
know.
not understand that? Like, why
Yeah.
why are you getting so offended? What's triggering you? Like, what's happening here?
Again, that's something they need to ask themselves.
Sometimes now on the
Yeah.
comment sections, just for engagement, I'm just like, so what triggered you about this comment?
Oh God, that's so annoying.
And like, people have really been enjoying this.
Yeah.
It's like drama,
Yeah.
it's conflict at the end of
Yeah,
the day.
yeah.
I love it. Okay, on this note, we laughed a lot now. But on this note, is there anything that we can put that you would like to put out there for someone who is on their healing journey and maybe lost, maybe in Bombay, just finding themselves?
I think something that I would want to put out for someone on their healing journey is that go for it.
Heal.
Get on it. Get on it. It's so exciting.
Yeah.
It is so goddamn exciting.
Best roller
And
coaster.
yeah, and it's one of those like kaleidoscopic things that's constantly revealing themselves to you. And I don't approach healing anymore with a sense of nobility.
Yeah.
For me, it's just something that allows me to live a happier life and a better life. But as a hobby, it's really fun.
Do you recommend it?
Yeah, I recommend it.
5 stars.
Yeah. I think recently I've sort of understood because I have found the ways. But earlier, maybe I think I was using a lot of the tools I learned as ways to manage. But I think in the more recent past, I think the more I leaned into my intuition, into my faith, I found it to be something that just sort of gave back so much more, because you can't heal the sickness in the mind through the mind.
Yeah.
You can't heal in the same place that you got sick. So I think that what's really important is to drop into your heart. It's really important to drop into your heart and allow it.
Even
Allow
if
it.
it's scary.
What is so scary? It's just you.
Yeah.
It's just you. I mean,
Some people it
of
is.
course it is scary. Some
Yeah.
people are unsafe people to be around. Some can be physically unsafe. Some people are emotionally unsafe. Some situations are not unsafe, but they are perceived as unsafe to you.
Yeah.
But when you are with yourself, it is only you. That what is unsafe is that if you don't do it, that's unsafe.
That
If
is-
you cannot show up for the inner child, the inner teenager, the inner young adult, the person you were yesterday, if you can't parent that person, that is unsafe.
That's true.
That is scary.
And if you can't take care of yourself, don't
Yeah.
expect the world to take
I
care
mean,
of you.
at this point, I'm like, okay, I know that the person I am tomorrow will be ready to take care of the person I am today. That comforts me. That makes me feel a little bit braver.
Confident.
Yeah, and I mean, I hope I don't make the same mistakes. But if I do, I think I know how to forgive myself.
Yeah.
And that has come from all this work.
Yeah.
you know
That's couldn't be a better way to like end this. So yeah, please listen to Eisha Chopra, and thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for listening.
Thank you.
Should I have looked in the camera a little bit more?
That's all.
Oh, okay.
Okay, like, follow, subscribe.
So, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, I actually have done that on purpose now.